right, we have attendees coming in now.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Anthony. Can you hear us yet?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Great. Madam Mayor, if you want to go ahead and start, we can go to.
All right. Thank you, David. Good afternoon to all of our mayors who are joining us, our wonderful team from the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and to all of the participants. I know that we have media joining us today. I am Keisha Lance Bottoms, the mayor of Atlanta, Georgia. And like so many of you all, I was very much looking forward to seeing you all in person, but so is life in 2021. So it's better for us to be safe than to be sorry. But I am glad to see you all at least virtually. And the important business of the Community Development and Housing Committee continues. And we know it's even more important than ever that we continue to do the important work on behalf of our communities, with so many in our communities struggling. I'd like to introduce Dave Burns to give us any additional instructions, David, that you may have for us via Zoom.
Sure. Thanks, Mayor. The big thing for today is that since we're going to be voting virtually, we just want to make sure that when we say, like, all those in favor, to do an audible or visual cue, raising your hand. You don't need to use the Zoom hand raising function. And just as a reminder, if you want to cast a no vote and have it registered with us, or you want to sponsor a resolution, you can do so in the Conference of Mayors app. And I'm happy to answer any questions through direct message if you have any.
All right, thank you, David. And now to Tim Nguyen, the committee's parliamentarian. Tim, do you have any instructions for us?
No, I think the committee is aware of its rules and how to handle it, but I am here should any questions of parliamentary procedure arise, and I'll be monitoring the meeting as we go along. All
right, thank you, Tim. And my apologies, I hope that you all can see me okay. My air is out, so as you can imagine, it's pretty hot in Atlanta today, so I am keeping all lights off around me, but I know you should be able to hear me okay. The order of today's meeting will be for us to consider resolutions followed by speakers, and then there will be an opportunity for those of you all who are joining us to ask questions. The first item of business is consideration of resolutions. New resolutions will be considered after the consideration of proposed resolutions. Is there anyone on the committee that has a new resolution to be presented? All right, there being none, since we don't have any new resolutions for consideration, we will move on to the next item. Under the U.S. Conference of Mayors rules, mayors can add their names as a co-sponsor of any resolution. You can do so by adding your name at community.usmayors.org or directly in the mobile app until the resolutions are considered by the Executive Committee on August 31st. You were also sent instructions last week on how to record a no vote on a specific resolution that is adopted in either the Standing Committee meeting or the Executive Committee meeting on August 31st. If you'd like to vote no on any other resolutions that our committee will consider, we ask that you follow those instructions. We're now ready for the consideration of the proposed resolutions submitted by the deadline of August 2nd that you should have before you. Over the last several years, the proposed resolutions have been considered and adopted as a group. We will do the same during this meeting. According to the rules, any member has a right to remove any of these resolutions for separate consideration, which would then be debated and put up for a vote individually. Would any committee members like to have any resolution considered separately? All right, There being none, we will move on to the approval of the resolutions packet. If there is no objection, the proposed resolutions will be approved as a group. Is there an objection? All right, there being none, is there a motion and a second to approve the proposed resolutions?
So moved, Madam Chair. This is Mayor Giles.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there a second?
Seconded, Mayor Baldwin.
Thank you, Mayor Baldwin. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please respond with aye.
Aye.
If any are opposed, please respond with no. All right, the ayes have it. The resolutions are adopted. I'm making sure I'm following my script here, Dave and Jean, so if I miss something, please let me know. The next item of business is the approval. No, I think that's it, right, Jean?
I think we do have a new resolution.
We do have a new resolution. Okay.
Yeah, right. It's on supporting, in support of CDBG, sponsored by Mayor Giles.
All right. Thank you. And that's resolution 1. Is that correct?
There's no number on it.
Okay.
It's a new resolution.
All right. So do we need to have, I'm assuming we need a motion to vote on this new resolution or to accept the new resolution?
But the proper procedure is that 2/3 of the committee must approve before the resolution can come before it. But if there's no objection from anyone on the committee, then that resolution can be voted on.
All right. Well, all in favor of accepting this resolution for vote, is that the proper?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Is there a motion to accept this resolution for vote?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to make the motion. As Jean indicated, I'm sponsoring this. This resolution has been an annual resolution for many years at the U.S. Conference of Mayors. It's expressing support for the CDBG program. And I think it was just noticed that for whatever reason that it wasn't included in the original round of resolutions, but traditionally, it'd be hard to find a mayor, I think, who can't tell a lot of compelling stories about why CDBG is important to us. So I think it is important that we maintain our outspoken support and encouragement to Congress to continue to prioritize CDBG, and in fact to realize that there's been no inflation adjustments for CDBGs for many decades, and just to raise awareness on the issue. So I'm honored to urge this body to add this to our list of resolutions.
Seconded. I'm with you.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and it's been properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, none being opposed, that motion carries. I think that concludes our business. I will give a report of the adopted resolutions at the executive committee meeting on August 31st. Jean, let me just make sure for procedural purposes, we just accepted the resolution. Do I need another? We accepted the resolution for consideration. Do we need another motion and a vote, or is that?
Well, that is the proper procedure to now vote on the resolution once it's accepted to be.
Okay. So our first vote was to accept the resolution. We have accepted it. Now, can I get a motion to support the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. I hope I
That's
did
good.
that right. All right.
Yeah.
And we have several speakers joining us here today. And before we turn it over, I just want to share what an honor it has been to serve as chair of this committee. Many of you all may know that we created a platform called our One Atlanta platform. And a huge part of that was making sure that the work that we did was so that Atlanta would become a more affordable, resilient, and equitable city for all. And it has been with the support of the U.S. Conference of Mayors and so many of you all that we've been able to achieve that. We set a goal of 20,000 affordable housing units by 2026, a very ambitious goal of $1 billion towards affordable housing. Thus far, we have $582 million invested in the creation and preservation of nearly 6,800 affordable homes in our city. And so while I will not serve as mayor and as chair of this committee next year, I know that this is important work that will continue in our city and will continue in communities across America. So thank you again for the honor of serving and working alongside each of you to make sure that this important work has been achieved. Our first speaker this afternoon is Anthony Love. Anthony is the Interim Executive Director of the United States Interagency Council on Homelessness. Anthony is currently serving as the Interagency Council's Interim Executive Director on detail assignment from the Department of Veteran Affairs. In his previous role at the VA, Anthony served as the Senior Advisor and Director of Community Engagement, VA and VHA homeless programs. Please welcome Anthony Love, who will brief us on the federal plan on homelessness and evictions. I know we had some challenges earlier with Anthony's audio. Anthony, are you?
Yeah, I think Anthony just needs to unmute. You should be okay.
Okay. See, he's connecting to audio. I can see he's trying to connect. We can't hear you right now, Anthony. So while you work on that, if it's okay with you, we'll go to Alan Williams and then come back to you, Anthony, while you work through those technical issues. Alan is the HUD Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Office of Congressional and Intergovernmental Relations. He's a senior leader responsible for activities involving program offices to ensure the effective and accurate presentation of the department's views. Alan will open with a brief statement and then introduce other members from HUD who will give brief remarks, and hopefully when Alan is done, Anthony will be ready to join us. But most importantly, Alan is a family rattler. I don't care what else you achieve in life. I know that's the highest honor. That's all right.
Well, thank you so much, Madam Mayor, Madam Chair. It's great to be here with you this afternoon. And let me first start, Mayor Lance Bottoms, by bringing greetings on behalf of our Secretary Marsha Fudge. In her absence, she wanted me to thank you for your leadership over the past 4 years as you steered the city of Atlanta and this committee through some very turbulent times, and you have done it with grace and with a level of tenacity that she is greatly admires, and she wanted me to share that with you and share with you your friendship and your sisterhood that you have provided to her over the years. With us today, we have Arthur Jameson, who is the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for Community Development, Community and Planning Development. He is all things CDBG to all our mayors on the call. We also have Nicole Lindler, who is a senior advisor on our team, Intergovernmental Affairs, and we were able to steal her away from Mayor London Breed of San Francisco to come join us at HUD. We also have Peggy Bailey. She is a senior advisor to Secretary Marsha Fudge. And then we have Sarah Brundage, who's our General Deputy Assistant Secretary for Congressional Intergovernmental Relations, who will give us an update on the Build Back Better plan that just passed Congress, as well as the reconciliation package. And with that, I want to turn it over to Arthur Jameson for a few brief comments.
Sure. Good afternoon, mayors. It's great to be here today and to see each of you. And thank you for that kind of introduction, Alan. I always love talking to mayors because I spent the last 25 years talking to mayors, most recently Mayor Mike Duggan of Detroit, and before that, Anthony Williams of Washington. Thrilled to be here to offer a few comments. Just before I get started, making sure everybody can hear me okay. Assuming that people can, I'll keep going.
And just 1 second, Arthur, if we can ask everyone to mute themselves. I know we just have someone join. Thank you.
Great. Well, very briefly, I'm going to hopefully speak to things that you're all keenly aware of, but specifically the way that the COVID crisis has really revealed a new charge for everybody in the community development field. Here at HUD, we're focused on 4 things. In every way, making smart decisions to help us end the virus and its impact on our communities, driving an economic recovery, working to bring our communities together to address racial equity, which has very specific connections to the community development field, and finally, addressing climate change in a way that's going to limit its impacts and make sure that we can continue to grow. So the one thing I know from my work is that you as mayors are so essential to making sure that that the things that we're talking about happen. You're the ones who turn the resources that we're allocating through the Congress into specific parks and affordable housing, and streets and open space, all the things that make communities strong. You're the leaders who we really look to make sure that these things hit the ground in a way that addresses the 4 issues we talked about. One of the pieces of good news that's come out of everything that's happening right now are resources. As each of you, I'm sure, is very aware, the Treasury's been allocated $350 billion of state and local money that's gone to every eligible city and state in the country. There's been over $46 billion of emergency rental assistance allocated through Treasury to states and municipalities. And my colleague, Peggy, will be speaking in greater detail to that in a moment. There's over $9 billion of homeowner assistance that's been approved, that's beginning to make its way through. And here in HUD, in my particular office, we've got over $15 billion of CARES and American Rescue Plan funding traveling through our office that, again, is going to each of you as part of the CDBG, ESG, and home programs. It's really from you and people you work with that the solutions that we highlight are going to emerge. And so we're going to be looking to you, especially and most recently on home ARP, which is something that's going to be coming out shortly to help create permanent supportive housing as part of your housing portfolios in your community. You're the ones who are going to make the investment decisions that change the direction of the country and put all these resources together. And I encourage you to embrace the challenge. Our job at HUD is to be there with you and be your partner. The ways that we're going to do that are going to be bring our agencies together like Treasury and HUD, and Treasury and HUD and HHS and all the other agencies that you work with to bring our agencies together in a way that makes it easier for you to do your work. Through waivers where appropriate, technical assistance that each of us can provide, and the partnerships that are going to try to bring these all the sources of funding from the federal government together to help you accomplish the projects that, again, you're going to be the national leaders on. So I look forward to working with you individually and broadly, and making sure that the TA waivers and other resources that you need from the Community Planning and Development Office are made available to you. The work you do is really what's going to create that firmament of amazing transformations that are going to make the difference in the country over the coming years. We're going to have unprecedented resources to make this change, especially with the Build Back Better and reconciliation packages move forward. So we're here for you, and we're excited about working with you to weave all those funds and bring all those threads together to create the transformation that you're looking for in the community. So I'm thrilled to be here and look forward to partnering with you in the future. I get the chance to introduce the Senior Advisor for the Office of Public Affairs, Nicole Windler, who's been introduced already, is being recruited from the city of San Francisco. Nicole, are you ready to join me?
And
Yes, I am. Thank you,
No.
mayors.
I'm sorry, pardon me, Mayor.
No worries. I just want to acknowledge our president, Nan Whaley, Mayor Nan Whaley, in case she has to jump off. President Whaley, did you want to share anything before we hear from Nicole?
Mayor Lance Bottoms, I could not miss your meeting as we are both leaving at the end of the year, and just wanted to say thank you for your great service. It's been such an honor to get to serve with you, and thank everyone, particularly the folks on HUD on this call, and Mayor Giles for pushing forward the CDBG resolution, as we're always trying to figure out a way to get that number up, since it hasn't been increased in so many decades. So just appreciate everybody on this call's great work, and wanted to say thank you all for taking the time to join. And thank you, Keisha, for all your great work. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Madam President. All right, Nicole.
Hello, mayors. Thank you again for having HUD here. Next, we would like you to hear from Peggy Bailey, who is the Senior Advisor for Rental Assistance in the Office of the Secretary, where she leads policies and practices for our rental subsidy and supply programs. Peggy will discuss some of our current eviction prevention resources, including the Treasury's Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Peggy?
Hi, thanks, Nicole, and hello, mayors. Thanks for having HUD on this call today. I'm sure for all of you, as it is for us, evictions and eviction prevention is top of mind right now, given the economic impacts of the pandemic. And eviction prevention is a top priority for the administration. We know that the CDC moratorium is in place right now, and we think that that we have the authority to have this new CDC moratorium, but we know that the courts may not agree with us, and so we're preparing for whatever happens through the court system over the next few days. With the recognition that all along we knew that a moratorium on evictions was a band-aid to this problem. It isn't the solution, and that tenants and landlords need renters need money to pay their rent, and landlords need the rents to be able to pay their bills. And this is a hand-in-hand crisis, and we have the resources to help them. And what we're calling on you is the partnership that we need from for us and the Treasury Department in particular when it comes to the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, to understand what the challenges are with implementation and revising their guidance, and then working with all of you and the grantees in your cities to be able to get the resources out the door as quickly as possible to all those who, especially to those who need it the most. Today, the Treasury Department released new data regarding the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, and we know that to date, about $5 billion of the $46 billion has been spent. That's up about 15% since June. There have been over 1 million payments that have gone out through the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. And just in July alone, there was $1.7 billion spent. So money is flowing, it's getting out the door, it's getting to people who need it the most. We just know we've got to accelerate these efforts. To do that, Treasury also is updating their guidance, which they've issued through frequently asked questions. And they're doing things like making it easier for both tenants and landlords to self-attest to their eligibility. They're making it easier for the larger landlords and housing authorities to be able to receive bulk payments. And they're also including an FAQ around allowing for upfront payments to landlords to a degree to help expedite resources going out the door and make sure that people can stay housed. They're making it clear that the Emergency Rental Assistance Program can be used to pay for additional costs to incentivize landlords to take particularly hard to serve people, whether it's people experiencing homelessness, people coming out of the criminal justice system, understanding that that landlords may want first and last month's rent or an additional rent payment to be able to secure to balance their risk of taking on populations that they see as higher risk. And Treasury also makes it clear that emergency rental assistance can be used to pay past arrears, even if the tenant is no longer in the unit. The one stipulation is that grantees and landlords need to make sure to report that the rent has been paid to get the eviction off of the tenant's record, if that's the case, and make sure that they're not being penalized for that eviction. So that's all coming out of Treasury. Within HUD, we also have resources on the table. There's $5 billion out in the world for emergency housing vouchers that are particularly targeted to people experiencing homelessness, people at risk of homelessness, people fleeing domestic violence situations, that we want to make sure the folks that we know are going to need long-term assistance can get it. Soon we'll be releasing dollars through the home program to help with address people experiencing homelessness, and particularly in cities that have used hotels and motels as the intervention. These home dollars can be used to keep people in those settings, to convert those settings to longer term housing. We're really excited about the resources that are being put on the table. So I just want to wrap up with saying, we're in it with all of you to help prevent evictions, and we think that the resources are there. And please let us know the challenges that you're facing with getting the resources out the door, so that we can address those and help everyone who needs assistance get it.
Thank you so much, Peggy. And now I want to turn it over to Sarah Brundage, who is our GDAS, and we'll discuss portions of the Build Back Better legislation that passed along with the reconciliation package. Sarah, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Alan, and hello, mayors. It's great to be with you all today. Your communities, as you all know, in communities nationwide, urban, rural, suburban, are all facing a shortage of affordable housing that's grown larger and larger over years, insufficient resources. And we applaud your innovation and focus on this community need, but we also recognize the need for strong federal support and resources for all of our communities to be able to address this shortage of affordable housing. And so President Biden is calling for historic supply side investments into affordable housing through his Build Back Better agenda. The path forward for these critical priorities is through the developing reconciliation package. I will just clarify add a little nuance to what Alan said. It was just yesterday that the House passed the $3.5 trillion budget resolution, and this clears again, the pathway for the president's Build Back Better agenda to advance via reconciliation this fall. So the Build Back Better agenda, which is really, includes the priorities in the American Jobs Plan, would dramatically lower the cost of housing by significantly expanding our supply of affordable housing. All told, it would help construct or preserve more than 2 million affordable and sustainable places to live. We estimate the president's agenda would build or rehab more than 1 million affordable rental homes, helping more than 500,000 families of more modest means to buy their first houses as well. The Build Back Better agenda includes strengthening incentives for developers to produce more affordable housing, including the low-income housing tax credit, which is of course administered by the Treasury. And it would, in addition, increase support for other initiatives such as the Housing Trust Fund, the Home Investment Partnerships Program, and our project-based rental assistance. And we really want to ensure that the reconciliation package that Congress advances includes this combination of LIHTC, low-income housing tax credit, and HUD programs, since we know that it's this pairing of resources that allows new development to truly be affordable for Americans with the lowest incomes. Furthermore, the president's agenda contains major investments to revitalize our public housing stock, which will help improve the quality of life for the nearly 2 million people who live in public housing. Also recognizing our country's need to take bold action to meet the threats posed by climate change and extreme weather. The president's Build Back Better agenda also contains substantial investments to strengthen America's climate resilience. It would make our existing homes more energy efficient and create more sustainable infrastructure in historically underserved areas in big cities, rural communities, as well as tribal nations. So the work for the reconciliation package is happening now as Congress gets ready to return September 20th and both chambers are back. It's important for them to hear how their home states and their districts need federal resources and support to build more affordable housing and housing that is resilient, sustainable, providing healthy and safe places to call home and affordable again to our lowest income households. So we appreciate everyone here's leadership in championing the housing investments in the Build Back Better agenda, and always happy to answer any questions about that work. And I'll turn it back to you, Alan.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Arthur, Nicole, Peggy, and Sarah. We'll turn it back over to you, Mayor Lance Bottoms. But before we do that, we want to definitely thank Mayor Whaley for her leadership. Obviously, we know a lot of great things come out of the great state of Ohio, namely Marsha Fudge, our secretary, but also your president, Nan Whaley. And so, Mayor Whaley, thank you for your leadership. And Mayor Lance Bottoms, that concludes our presentation. We'll take any questions if there are.
Well, thank you, Ellen. And I know so many of us can tout what we've been able to accomplish with the leadership and the assistance of HUD. And I can't say enough about how much the infusion of federal money has really made a difference in our cities. In Atlanta, in the midst of the pandemic, we were able to provide housing for 800 households who had been impacted by homelessness. And in partnership with the United Way, and again, because of the federal dollars we receive, we've been able to help 7,500 families with $30 million in rental assistance during the pandemic. So keep it coming. We need it. And we know that long after this pandemic is over, whenever that may be, people will still be in an economic recovery mode. So we appreciate your leadership and your partnership. And hopefully, Anthony, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Oh my goodness. All right. Thank you so much, Mayor Bottoms. It is a pleasure to be here, and thank you to all the other mayors that are members of this panel. As the mayor introduced me previously, I'm Anthony Love, and I'm currently serving as the interim executive director of the United States Interagency Council on Homelessness, better known to a number of folks as USICH. And just a little background, USICH is responsible for coordinating the federal response to homelessness, and we are the only federal agency whose sole mission is focused on preventing and ending homelessness. The council is comprised of leaders from 19 federal agencies, and we meet on a quarterly basis. The council is currently chaired by Secretary Fudge of HUD, and then vice chair is Secretary McDonough of the VA. One of our primary, the council's primary statutory obligations is to create and implement a new federal strategic plan to prevent and end homelessness. We are in the process currently of collecting information from folks from around the country and on what a new federal strategic plan to prevent and end homelessness should look like. So if you have any thoughts about that, we'd love to hear from you. We're also collecting feedback online, and we'll soon begin conducting listening sessions with various stakeholders. Our regional coordinators, and I'm joined today by the head of our national initiatives team and oversees our regional coordinators, Bev Eversold. These regional coordinators are based throughout the country, and they're available to work with local governments to help you create partnerships, use resources effectively, and implement best practices. The federal strategic plan will reiterate our commitment to evidence-based practices like housing first and centering racial equity to ensure that people have equitable access to housing and resources and achieve equitable outcomes. Currently, there's a mountain of research that back the benefits of housing first. USICH and the Biden administration believe that housing should be a right and not a privilege. And during the last couple of years, our commitment to housing first for some folks was in question. So I want to help folks to understand that even though there was a shift in the appointed leadership during the last 18 months of the previous administration, USICH staff remained committed to housing first and to working with communities to promote evidence-based practices. Housing first and not housing only is flexible. It values client choice. It services, there are services that are provided within Housing First are tailored to the need of the client and focuses on screening people into housing and not out of housing. This intervention has proved effective by not only improving the health of folks that are housed, but also resulting in lower returns to homelessness and reduced usage of emergency services like emergency rooms, jails, and treatment centers. It's also been proven to be the most effective intervention for people who are chronically homeless. So in the sense of, as we get ready to gear up for this federal strategic plan, just kind of want to give a sense of what we're facing moving in that direction. Since the launch of the first federal strategic plan to prevent and end homelessness, we've seen homelessness drop by 9%. It also dropped nearly 50% among veterans and nearly 30% among families. Also, 82 communities in 3 states have met the federal criteria and benchmarks to be recognized as having ended veteran homelessness. But over the last few years, much of that progress has stalled. Since 2016, homelessness has been on the rise, and some troubling trends have emerged. Like for the first time since we started collecting this data, unsheltered homelessness exceeded sheltered homelessness. Also, the number of unsheltered families with children increased. All of this data was captured before the pandemic, and if we don't act now to rehouse people and develop the affordable housing necessary, it will likely get worse before it gets better. On top of that, you heard from my colleagues at HUD that millions of Americans are still worried about being evicted. The federal moratorium that's in place now, and Peggy spoke eloquently about that, any day that could be overturned. But right now it covers roughly 90% of renters. And even if it stays in place, it won't last forever. So I don't want to repeat all of the things that Peggy said. But I do just want to reiterate that even though the money is beginning to get out there and it's beginning to be spent, we need to continue to get the word out to folks and to make sure these resources get into the hands of the people who need it. And we need your help and the help of your communities to help raise awareness and whatever you can do to get to ease any administrative barriers to this vital assistance. I'm sure that would be very much appreciated. Additionally, the American Rescue Plan provides a historic amount of resources, as Mayor Bottoms, you've said, that can significantly reduce homelessness in some communities and end it in others. So we have to take advantage of this once in a generation opportunity. I mean, it's estimated that the American Rescue Plan and the CARES Act resources, if used effectively, can rehouse more than 200,000 households in just a few years. That would be more than ever before. There are an increasing number of people experiencing homelessness, and most are unsheltered. And this is an opportunity to get these folks housed quickly. So also, speaking of getting folks rehoused quickly, there's still talk of building more affordable housing. And of course, as you know, we need more of it. Even before the pandemic, we had a shortage of 7 million affordable homes for the lowest income renters. 70% of these households spend more than half of their incomes on rent. They can't save, and one unexpected expense could leave them homeless, adding to the already homeless population. And if we don't expand the supply of affordable housing, we're never going to end homelessness. The American Rescue Plan offers at least 2 ways to address this. It offers a way to create more affordable housing, and it offers a way to rehouse quickly those folks who are currently homeless. So understanding that and going into to put together this federal strategic plan, we know that a lack of truly affordable housing is challenging in most communities, but we know that right now you have at your disposal essential resources to ensure that your constituents, and that includes folks who are homeless, have access to safe and affordable housing and begin the process of pursuing their personal goals and improving their quality of life. In closing, there are billions of dollars available right now. And more than ever before, even before we get this plan off the ground, we can begin to help prevent and end homelessness in communities across the country. In addition to the COVID documents that we published on our website, USICH also has published a guide to help you navigate the dozens of funding streams and figure out how to use them in your city. So if you still have questions about navigating those resources, please feel free to reach out to our regional coordinators. We have coordinators that covers regions which your city is located. We're here to help and be a resource for you with strong partnerships and evidence-based practices. We can turn these resources and this moment into lasting solutions. The federal strategic plan then will be the icing on the cake, and we can then offer every American what they deserve, a place to call home. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anthony. We appreciate your patience and your tenacity in making sure you were able to be heard today. So and thank you, Alan. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you to the entire HUD team. We appreciate your presence and thank you for providing this important information for all of us. Jean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that concludes our business.
Yes, you're right, Mayor. That's it.
So I am assuming we will need a motion to adjourn this committee meeting?
Not necessarily. You can just adjourn it. Yeah.
Okay, well, all right. We are adjourned. Thank you all. Please stay safe and hope to see you all in person soon. I joke with some fellow mayors that next year I will join the club of former mayors who stalk current mayors. So maybe next time I see you all in person, I'll be the one chasing you down the hallway trying to get your attention. I don't know. We'll see what next year holds for us. All right. Thank you, Jean.
Thank you.